Hey, it's Jennifer with Pigskins and Pigtails. You know I'm obsessed with screen printing using vinyl, but today I want to talk about two other methods I use to make shirts for my business and how they compare to screen printing. When I switched to screen printing from using HTV, one of my main reasons was that I didn't like the feel of HTV on a shirt. I learned how to screen print with vinyl using water-based inks. You can learn more about my whole process on my other videos on this channel. Here's a look at what water-based screen printing ink looks like on a shirt. The screen printing ink soaks into the fabric and becomes permanent when you heat press it. These shirts hold up great wash after wash. And this is why I fell in love with screen printing. Occasionally I get requests for a design that is full color. While I do love to screen print with multiple colors, this takes some time to set up. If I'm only making one shirt, it really isn't worth the time. That's where sublimation comes into play. The results of a sublimated shirt are similar to screen printing with water-based inks. Here's a closer look at a shirt made with sublimation. If you could touch this, you would notice that there is no texture or feel to it. The ink has fused with the fabric, so similar to screen printing with water-based inks, it gives you a nice soft shirt. But because we're using a printer to make sublimation designs, you can print in full color. Another product I've shared in previous videos is Supacolor heat transfers. These transfers come in full color, so it's a great alternative when you have an order that's too complex for screen printing. Now, these transfers do have a texture or feel to them. You heat press it onto your shirt, but it doesn't soak into the material like water-based screen printing ink or sublimation. So as you run your hand over this large area of a transfer, you will have a feel to it. If you are trying to decide which of these three processes you should use, let me explain which types of fabric each of these work best with, and then I'll explain the equipment needed for each. Screen printing quickly became my go-to method for making shirts because of how universal it is. You can screen print on so many different materials. It works great on 100% cotton, soft tri-blend t-shirts, polyester dry fit materials, sweatshirts, and so much more. Sublimation printing uses heat reactive dyes and the heat from your heat press to turn the dye into a gas. This gas then bonds with the fibers of polyester fabric, which means that you need a high polyester count fabric when you're doing sublimation. 100% polyester is the best, but I've also had success with some polyblend shirts. Supacolor transfers work on a ton of different blanks, very similar to screen printing. You can use these transfers on cotton, blends, polyester, and even nylon. I recently put logos on these dark polyester tracksuits. I hesitated to use screen printing because of dye migration, and this is where the polyester dye actually migrates into the ink and makes your ink color not as vibrant as when you first print it. Those are my three different methods of decorating, and I use them depending on the project I'm working on. If you have a growing t-shirt business, having all three of these methods at your fingertips for custom orders is going to allow you to work smarter. So what equipment will you need? For screen printing with vinyl, I use a vinyl cutter. This is a Cricut Maker, but any brand machine will work. These machines typically start around $200. Then you can grab my beginner's screen printing kit for around $40. This includes all of the basic supplies you need to get started. You'll also need an iron or a heat press to cure the ink. For sublimation, this is a little more of an investment. For a good quality machine, you're looking at $600 to $1,500, but once you've made that investment, your ongoing costs are just ink and paper. With sublimation, you'll also need a nice heat press to apply it properly. Good heat presses typically start around $450 and go up. With Supacolor transfers, you upload your designs to Supacolor. They print and mail you the transfers. These are going to run around $6 per transfer depending on the size and quantity you order. If you're ordering larger quantities, your price per transfer will be closer to $1 or $2 range. You'll also need a heat press for this process. If you're a crafter or just getting started, you might be wondering which of these processes is best to get started. It will really depend on the type of shirts you plan to make. If you want to stick to basic designs that are typically 1 to 4 colors and want to be able to print a bunch of shirts at a time, screen printing is the way to go. If you might get requests for shirts with full color designs, then sublimation is the way to go. If you run a business where you want to spend the least amount of time making products, Supacolor transfers are really easy. You just heat press them onto the garment and you're done. I hope this video helps you understand the benefits of each of these processes. In my next video, I'll be sharing more about how to get started with sublimation, including the equipment you need. Be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss it.